2 days after giving birth, I was struggling to even walk when my husband whispered, "You're not attractive anymore." I thought he was just tired too, until I found his dating profile, saying he was single, child-free, and looking for fun. When I confronted him, he said, "You trapped me." 6 months later, he got served at his new girlfriend's baby shower because I made sure everyone knew who he really was. I gave birth to my daughter on a cold Tuesday morning in November. We named her Ellie. She came into this world after 27 hours of labor that ended in an emergency C-section. I'd never felt that kind of pain before. The kind that tears through your spine and ribs and still manages to feel like the best thing in the world when it's over. Ellie was worth it. She was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes. Tiny cry, but strong grip. She latched right away. And I cried so hard I could barely see her face. I thought Mark cried too. He wiped his eyes when they handed her to me. That first night, the nurse wheeled her to the nursery so I could rest. Mark sat next to my hospital bed. Quiet. Stiff. Not his usual self. He kept checking his phone. I remember asking if he was okay, and he just said, "Yeah, just tired." 2 nights after the birth, I was trying to sit up in bed. I was sore. Felt like my whole middle had been carved open, which it had. I moved like an old woman. I was wincing, groaning, trying not to cry. Mark came over. I thought he was going to help. He leaned down, brushed hair off my face, and then whispered in a low voice, "You're not attractive anymore." I blinked. I waited for a smirk. A laugh. Some kind of joke. Nothing. He walked back to the couch and started scrolling on his phone like nothing happened. Like he hadn't just shattered something inside me. I didn't say anything. I stared at the wall for what felt like hours. When we got home, things got worse. Ellie wouldn't sleep unless she was on my chest. I was breastfeeding, healing from surgery, and barely getting 2 hours of rest a night. I smelled like milk, spit up, and antiseptic wipes. My body didn't feel like mine. Mark didn't offer to help. Not once. He'd leave for late-night calls at work or take long drives to clear his head. He said he needed space. I believed him. I thought maybe he was having some kind of post-baby stress too. Then one night, while Ellie was finally sleeping and I was folding laundry, Mark went to shower. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. I never used to check his phone. I believed in trust. But something inside me, that little voice that grows louder the more you ignore it, told me to look. I opened it. Plenty of fish. His profile picture was one of him at a work conference. I looked through it and my stomach started to turn. Single, child-free, HVAC tech. Not looking for anything serious. Just looking for fun. Love hiking, bourbon, and no drama. He had over a dozen conversations going. One woman called him baby. Another said, "I can't believe a guy like you is single." I took screenshots of everything. Every message. Every photo. Every dirty thing he said to those women while I was bleeding and feeding his child. When I confronted him, I showed him the screenshots. I said, "What is this?" He didn't flinch. He looked me right in the eye and said, "You trapped me. You wanted this baby." I didn't. I stayed because I felt bad, but I'm done pretending now. I slapped him. Hard. He didn't even touch his face. He just walked to the bedroom and started packing a bag. He left that night. His mom called 2 days later, yelling at me. "What did you do to my son?" she asked. I told her to ask him. She hung up. She believed him. His sister didn't. She came over with groceries and diapers. She said he'd been flirting with other women at their cousin's wedding last summer. Said she saw it and didn't say anything because she didn't want to start drama. I didn't cry in front of her. I waited until she left, then I broke. For hours. I didn't chase Mark. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten child support. I knew that would come. But first, I wanted him to get comfortable. I wanted him to think he'd gotten away with it. Because I wasn't going to just move on. I wasn't going to let the man who said I was unattractive while I was holding our newborn just start a new life like he hadn't wrecked ours. I didn't want just a court win. I wanted his reputation in pieces, and 6 months later I got it. After Mark left, he barely called. Didn't ask about Ellie. Didn't offer money. He just disappeared like she didn't exist. I filed for child support, but I didn't push right away. I wanted him off guard. I spent those first few months in survival mode. Ellie had colic, and I was still healing. Every day felt like crawling through glass barefoot. But I kept going. I kept notes, screenshots, receipts. I made a folder. I labeled it when. Then about 3 months after he left, Mark slipped up. He posted a photo on Facebook. His profile was still public. It was him with a blonde woman, maybe mid-20s, standing in front of a pink "It's a Girl" balloon arch. She had her hands on her belly. The caption? "Starting our new life." Blessed beyond words. My stomach turned. So he did want kids, just not with me. He'd met someone new and got her pregnant in less than 6 months. The same man who told me I trapped him. The same man who walked out on his first child without a single glance back. But I didn't comment. I didn't message her. Not yet. I looked up the woman. Her name was Alyssa. Her page was full of photos of them together. Brunches, movie nights, baby bump updates. She looked genuinely happy. Probably had no idea what kind of man she was actually with. She even had a baby registry posted online. That's how I found out about the shower. Saturday, 2 p.m. Louisville. Her parents' backyard. I called my lawyer the next day. I said I was ready to file for full custody and back child support. I gave him all the details, including his new girlfriend's full name and address. But that wasn't the only call I made. I made fake accounts and messaged 3 of the women he'd flirted with on the dating app. I sent them screenshots. Most of them blocked me. One replied, "Damn. I had no idea." He told me his wife cheated and took off. I messaged Alyssa too. From a burner. I just sent one sentence and a photo. "This is his daughter. She deserves to know her father." I attached a picture of Ellie asleep in her onesie. The same button nose. Same deep-set eyes. Alyssa never replied, but she left the read receipt on. 2 weeks later, I mailed the subpoena papers to her address. Certified. His name on the envelope. I waited. Quiet. Then the day of the baby shower came. And Mark? He showed up in a pink button-down, smiling like a damn TV dad. There were cupcakes and balloons and tiny pink shoes hanging from clotheslines. I saw the photos later from people who were there. Because at exactly 2:37 p.m., a process server walked through the backyard, stepped over a basket of teddy bears, and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Mark last name? You've been served." Paternity and custody hearing for Claire last name versus Mark last name. The whole yard went silent. Balloons shifted in the wind. Alyssa turned pale. Mark tried to laugh it off. But that wasn't all I had planned. 3 days after the baby shower, I got a message from Alyssa. Not from the burner I used. She found my real account somehow. I stared at her name for a while before opening it. It was short. I didn't know. "I'm sorry. Can we talk?" I didn't reply right away. I let her sit with it. Then a day later I said, "Only if you're ready to hear everything." We met at a coffee shop in downtown Louisville. She looked tired. 6 months pregnant, bags under her eyes, and wearing the kind of smile you put on just to survive. She sat down across from me and said, "So, you're Claire." I nodded. "And you're pregnant by a man who abandoned his first daughter." She didn't defend him. She just looked down and whispered, "I didn't believe it until he panicked at the shower. He said you were crazy. Said the baby might not even be his." I laughed. Out loud. That man told me I trapped him, left when our daughter was 2 weeks old, and said I was ugly right after I gave birth. Her eyes widened. "He told me you cheated." that he raised your kid for a year before he found out. That was when I knew Mark wasn't just careless. He was a full-blown liar, a manipulator, saying whatever he needed to get out of taking responsibility. I opened my purse and pulled out a manila envelope. I slid it across the table. Inside are screenshots, hospital records, our marriage certificate, paternity test, and photos of him holding Ellie at the hospital. Date stamped. She opened it. Read. Her hands started shaking. "I've been making payments on our nursery," she said, more to herself than me. "He said he was paying off debt from your mess. He hasn't given me $1, I said. "But he's about to." Alyssa nodded slowly, then reached for her phone. She scrolled, then turned the screen toward me. "You should see this." It was a text thread between her and Mark from 2 weeks before the shower. He was trying to convince her to put the baby in her parents' name on the birth certificate, just in case things get messy. He said things like, "If we're not legally tied, child support can't come for me. It's not like Claire's kid is mine anyway. She's just bitter and trying to drag me down." That was my breaking point. Not just for me, but for Ellie. I asked Alyssa if she'd be willing to testify. She didn't hesitate. Absolutely. That same week, I filed a formal complaint with his job. Not out of spite, but because he'd listed his company name in the dating profile. The one where he said he was single and child-free. The one where he sent explicit messages during business hours. I had timestamps. A week later, he got put on probation at work. Then, the cherry on top, I called his mother. The same one who yelled at me after he left. I said, "I thought you might want to meet your granddaughter before court." She paused, then said, "Mark told us the baby wasn't his." I sent her pictures. Ellie's face, right next to a baby picture of Mark. She broke down crying. "He lied to us. We cut you out because of him." "Yeah," I said. "So did he." That Sunday, Mark's mom showed up at my house. She brought baby clothes and her old photo albums. She held Ellie for the first time and sobbed. "My son's a fool," she whispered. "But that baby deserves a family." And just like that, Mark was running out of places to hide. But I wasn't done yet. By the time court was 2 weeks out, Mark had started panicking. He sent me a message through his lawyer, offering to settle. He said he'd agree to a small monthly payment, no visitation, no legal paternity claim, and a non-disclosure agreement that banned me from posting defamatory content about him online. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. He thought I was doing this for drama, for attention. He still didn't get it. I didn't want money. I wanted the truth out. I told my lawyer to decline. We'd see him in court. That's when things got ugly. 2 days later, my daycare called. A man claiming to be Ellie's father tried to pick her up. He didn't have clearance. Didn't even know the passcode. They called the cops. Nothing came of it because he left before they arrived, but the director said he was aggressive, pacing, demanding. I filed for a protective order the next morning. That night, my windshield was smashed in my driveway. No cameras. No witnesses. Just shattered glass and a rock in the front seat with the word liar written in Sharpie. I didn't go to the police right away. I wanted a record, not a restraining order. Not yet. Instead, I documented everything. Dates, times, photos. I handed them all to my lawyer. He said, "This is no longer just a custody case." And then came the real twist. Alyssa called me in the middle of the night, crying. She'd found another phone in his car, hidden in the trunk, a cheap prepaid burner. It had messages from 4 other women. One of them was pregnant. Another one said she had just had a miscarriage. They all thought they were his only one. He had told one woman he was recovering from a bad marriage and didn't have any kids, not yet, but someday. Alyssa was shattered. "I'm leaving him," she said. "But I want to help however I can." I gave her my lawyer's info. She submitted a written statement the next day. Even offered to testify. The day before court, Mark tried to call me. Blocked. He tried to go through his mom. She didn't answer. He showed up at my front door, unannounced. I watched him through the peephole. Sweaty. Nervous. Holding a manila envelope. He knocked for 5 full minutes. Then left the envelope on the doorstep. I waited another 10 before opening it. Inside was a letter. Claire, I made mistakes. I panicked. I didn't know how to be a dad. I want to fix things. Please, let's settle this before court. For Ellie. There was no apology. No admission. Just fake concern because his world was finally burning down. I didn't reply. The next morning, we went to court. And everything came out. But we're not done yet. Court was packed. Not with people watching, but with energy thick, cold, electric. I sat at the table next to my lawyer, wearing a simple black blazer. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I looked straight ahead, holding a photo of Ellie in my lap like armor. Mark walked in 10 minutes late, disheveled, pale. He didn't make eye contact with me. He looked like a man walking into his own execution. Because in a way, he was. The judge didn't waste time. We started with paternity. My lawyer submitted the test confirming Mark was Ellie's father. Mark didn't contest it, he couldn't. He looked down at the floor as the judge nodded. Next came the photos. The dating profile. The messages. His child-free claim. Then the witnesses. Alyssa testified first. She sat straight, voice shaking but steady. Told the court how he lied about me, how he manipulated her, how she found the burner phone, how she left him the moment she realized the truth. The judge asked her one question. Do you believe Mr. Last Name is fit to parent a child? She didn't hesitate. No, Your Honor. He lies. He disappears. And he runs the second things get hard. Then came the daycare director. She testified about the pickup attempt. The rock through my windshield. My police report. Every bit of it documented. Mark's lawyer tried to argue it was circumstantial. But it didn't hold up. Especially not after I submitted the envelope and letter he left on my porch, trying to make me drop the case. The judge looked at Mark and said, Do you have anything to say in response? Mark stood up. His voice cracked. I was scared. I didn't want to be a dad. Claire always wanted the baby more than I did. I didn't know how to handle it. I panicked. The judge leaned back. So instead, you abandoned your wife 2 weeks after a C-section and told the world you didn't have a child at all? Mark didn't answer. That's when the judge made it final. Full legal and physical custody to me. Supervised visits only until further review. Mandatory parenting classes and anger management. Back child support, 6 months retroactive, plus ongoing. Garnished directly from his paycheck. And a formal note on record about emotional neglect and deception. Mark didn't say a word. His jaw locked. His hands trembled. As we were leaving the courtroom, he reached for me in the hallway. Claire, he said. You didn't have to do all this. I looked at him for a long second. You did this to yourself, I said. You left us. You lied. You treated me like garbage while I was holding your daughter in a hospital bed. You called me unattractive, said I trapped you, then ran off to play happy family with someone else. He opened his mouth, then shut it. I leaned in closer. You want a clean slate? Then get used to writing checks every month to the woman you said wasn't good enough. Then I walked out. I won, but it didn't feel like winning. Not really. It felt like scraping back something that should have never been taken from me. A week later, I got a letter from Mark's job. He was fired. They cited misuse of company devices and conduct unbecoming. I didn't smile, but I slept like a rock that night. Alyssa moved out of state. Said she's raising her daughter on her own. We still text sometimes. Not as friends. Just as 2 women who survived the same fire. Mark? Last I heard, he moved in with a cousin and started working under the table. But child support still pulls from every check that gets reported. He's stuck. Probably forever. As for me, I'm working again. Ellie just turned 1. She's walking now, laughing all the time. Doesn't know what her father said about her. Never will if I can help it. Some people told me revenge wasn't worth it. But I wasn't after revenge. I was after truth. And now everyone knows exactly who Mark is. Especially Mark.